What if I told you that by the time you finish listening to this, thousands of invisible, permanent connections will have formed inside a child's mind? What if I told you that by the age of 6, your child's brain is already 90% developed? 90%. Think about that number. Before they ever step foot into a first-grade classroom, before they learn to write a full sentence, before they even know how to tie their own shoes, the fundamental architecture of who they will become is already locked into place. The way they play right now, the way they think, the way they process fear, joy, and frustration in this very moment, it isn't just a phase, it is the blueprint. It is shaping their entire future. But here's the frightening part. Most parents never realize what's actually happening. They look, but they do not see. We look at a living room covered in plastic blocks, discarded crayons, and couch cushions piled high, and we see a mess. We see a distraction. We see something to clean up. But we need to watch closer, because what looks like just playing is actually a violent, beautiful explosion of neurological growth. It is something far more powerful than any formal education they will ever receive. Between the ages of 3 and 6, children don't simply grow, they upgrade. The physical world becomes their testing ground. Running becomes faster, climbing becomes fearless, and falling becomes a core data point in the physics of learning. As we watch a child on a playground, there is something most people never notice. Every single jump, every single scrape, every bruise, every stumble, and every failed attempt to reach the top bar is not a mistake. It is a biological wire being soldered directly into their brain. It is the literal construction of confidence. When a child falls, hesitates, looks at you, and then gets back up to try again, they are practicing resilience. They are teaching their nervous system that failure is not fatal. A child who is allowed to explore freely today often becomes an adult who is willing to take risks tomorrow. An adult who can launch a company, challenge a broken system, or step into the unknown without being paralyzed by the fear of falling. Conversely, the child who is constantly met with, "Stop, don't touch, get down, that's too dangerous," learns a different lesson. They learn that the world is an inherent threat. They learn to distrust their own balance, and that hesitation lingers. And then come the words. Why is the sky blue? Why do people sleep? Why can't I fly like a bird? To a tired parent at the end of a long workday, it sounds adorable. Or, truth be told, it sounds exhausting. It sounds like endless white noise. But this phase has a precise scientific name, the curiosity explosion. It is the moment the human mind begins to build its cognitive framework. They aren't just asking for information, they are testing the boundaries of reality. They are trying to figure out how the gears of the universe turn. And when those questions are consistently ignored or dismissed with a distracted, "I don't know, go play," something tragic happens. Children slowly, quietly, learn to stop asking them. They internalize the idea that wondering is a nuisance, and kids who stop asking questions eventually stop thinking deeply. They accept the world exactly as it is handed to them, without question, without critique. But when curiosity is fed, when it is encouraged, validated, and explored together, you aren't just answering a question about the sky or the trees. You are creating a mind that will never stop learning. You are building a lifelong seeker of truth. This next truth may surprise you. That nonsense imaginary play you see on the living room rug, that dialogue they are having with someone who isn't there, it is actually a cognitive superpower. When a child turns a simple fallen stick into a sword, or transforms a discarded cardboard box into a hyperdrive spaceship, they are performing a miracle of abstract thought. They are learning how to create reality out of pure imagination. They are overriding their physical senses, which tell them it is just a brown box, and replacing it with a conceptual reality that they are traveling through the stars. Make no mistake, this is the exact same neural mechanism used by the greatest inventors, the most visionary artists, and the most disruptive entrepreneurs. Before Steve Jobs could build the iPhone, he had to imagine a device that didn't exist. Before the Wright brothers built an airplane, they had to see themselves flying in a sky where humans didn't belong. They turned their cardboard boxes into spaceships. So the next time your child runs to you, terrified or excited, saying, "There's a monster living in my closet," don't dismiss it too quickly as an annoyance. You aren't just dealing with a childish fear. You are witnessing the raw, unbridled birth of creative genius. Now, let us look at the part most adults completely misunderstand. When a child breaks a plastic toy and bursts into uncontrollable, heartbreaking tears, our adult instinct is to say, "It's okay, it's just a cheap toy. We can buy another one." We might think they are being dramatic, overreacting, spoiled. But they are not overreacting. To them, in their small, developing universe, that loss feels enormous. It feels like the end of the world. Because we must remember, their emotional world is still an active construction site. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that rationalizes, regulates, and puts things into perspective, is barely formed. They don't have the tools to soothe themselves yet. And this, right here, is where empathy begins. If children feel understood in their moments of deep, messy sorrow, they learn the language of comfort. They learn how to eventually understand others. But if their sorrow is routinely mocked, ignored, or shamed, if they are told to "stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about," they learn a dangerous coping mechanism. They learn to suppress emotion. They learn to lock it away in the dark. And that pattern of emotional isolation can last a lifetime. "I can do it myself." How many times have you heard that phrase while trying to hurry out the door? As they spend 10 agonizing minutes trying to put their left shoe on their right foot. This phase can test every single ounce of a parent's patience. It can make you want to pull your hair out. But it may also be one of the most critical psychological stages of childhood. Because every agonizing, clumsy attempt, even the ones that end in complete failure and backward shoes, builds something invisible beneath the surface. It builds self-belief. It teaches them agency. It tells them, "I have power. My actions matter. I can affect the world around me." And children who grow up believing in their own agency often become adults who no longer wait for permission. They don't wait for someone to hand them a job, or a promotion, or a happy life. They step forward and build it themselves. But there's something most parents never realize. One single, systemic mistake can quietly, invisibly damage all of this incredible progress. Let's be honest about it. Children do not grow in a vacuum. They do not learn who they are by reading books or listening to lectures. They mirror what they see. They are hyper-aware, biological recording devices, capturing every sigh, every glance, and every distraction. A distracted parent, someone whose eyes are constantly glued to a glowing glass screen while their child tries to show them a drawing, can quietly create a disconnected child. A patient parent who drops to one knee, looks them in the eye, and truly listens can create a confident one. And the biggest mistake we make in the modern world? Not giving children our true, undivided attention when they need it most. Because we have to understand the currency of childhood. To a child, your attention does not just mean love. Your attention becomes their fundamental sense of self-worth. If you are not present, they don't think you are busy. They think they are uninteresting. They think they do not matter. Time is a cruel thief. One day, and it will happen much faster than you think, they will stop asking why. One day, they won't need your help to reach the high shelf, or tie their shoes, or ward off the monsters in the closet. And one day, this magical, chaotic, messy phase of life will simply disappear. The living room will be perfectly clean. the house will be perfectly quiet. But everything they become as adults, every ounce of their confidence, their creativity, their empathy, and their brilliance starts right here, in the mess, in the noise. So the next time they ask an impossible question, the next time they make a terrible mess, or imagine something completely absurd, don't rush them. Don't sigh. Pause for a moment. Look at them. Because you are not simply raising a child, you are shaping a future. If you found this look inside the developing mind surprising, wait until you discover the chaotic, beautiful, and terrifying transformation that happens inside the teenage brain. But that is a story for next time.